Have you ever felt that unsettling shift? The moment where one chapter slams shut, leaving you in a strange and in-between place. There's no map, there's no compass, just the question of what is next. What if I told you that navigating these transitions from the ending through that neutral zone and into a bold new beginning is the secret to unlocking incredible growth? As an author, coach, and business consultant, I've guided countless individuals through their own pivots. And believe me, as a former pastor myself, I know a thing or two about profound endings and unexpected new beginnings. So in season 4 of the How People Grow podcast, we are pulling back the curtain on some truly mind-bending transformations. Imagine a pastor whose house burns down and he becomes a rock star. A former Mormon who finds herself through plant medicine. A corporate leader who finds himself delivering pizzas. And a woman who trades the boardroom for a hut in a faraway land. These aren't just stories. For some of us, they could be blueprints. Join me, David Achata, as we uncover the raw, often messy, and utterly inspiring ways people don't just survive change, but they thrive in it. You won't want to miss a single moment. Thanks for being here. Let's jump in. In this introductory episode, what I wanted to do was just share with you what this season is about, and then give some updates on me. And then we'll proceed, to our first interview, which is coming next week. So I decided I wanted to create a conversation for season 4 on transitions. So a little bit about me. I've been trying for years to figure out how do I bring all these worlds together that I'm connected to. So as a way to rack up some training, some certification, I decided I would pursue some training in spiritual direction. And I'm getting that through the Franciscan Spiritual Center right outside of Portland, Oregon in Lake Oswego. I'm also going through a change in my branding and my business, which for 15 years has been achatacoaching.com. It's going to change to a new name that's going to be The Rooted Way. I'll still do my leadership development work, but I'm also going to integrate personal development. So there'll be an icon there, and there will be retreats. There'll be some online cohorts you can be a part of, and eventually there will be a spiritual direction offering as well. So I kind of preface that way because through my training with the Franciscan Spiritual Center, I've had to do a lot of really great reading this last year. And one of the books that I read was called Transtions, Making Sense of Life's Changes by William and Susan Bridges. And I think the book's like 40 or 50 years old now. Such a good book. I highly recommend it. And as I was going through it, I realized, man, I'm in a transition. And so many people I know are in transitions. It might be because at the time of this recording, I'm 47, so I'm like in the midlife zone, and a lot of my friends are in that midlife zone, but also culturally, we're in a transition right now. So I thought I want to see how can I help resource the people I'm connected to with helpful ideas on making transitions in a healthy way. And so what William and Susan Bridges talk about in the book is that transitions actually have just 3 parts to them. And transitions are always inaugurated with an ending. So we had a phase of life, something was going well, something was, quote, working for us, and then suddenly it doesn't. It's inaugurated by a loss, a death, a health problem, a car accident, or maybe you just wake up one day and you're just not happy anymore with the world that you have created around you. And so you decide there's something is ending, and you decide I need a change. And after this ending phase, you go into a neutral zone. And this neutral zone is a really unknown place. I would even say this neutral zone is a real place of faith, because you're just hoping that there's a divine presence or cause or person, a relationship, something is going to help you through this. And so you've got to really trust, and you've got to try new things. In a way, you kind of have to try on different outfits to see what feels right, metaphorical outfits. And as you're trying out these different things, you begin to kind of find your way again. And then there's a new beginning. And so that's how transitions work. There's an ending, a neutral zone, and a new beginning. And so I'm going to be featuring stories this podcast season on transitions. And I'm super excited to share with you some of these interviews. I'm going to interview a musician. I'm going to interview a CEO of a nonprofit. I'm going to interview some pastor friends. I'm going to interview some other connections I have that I'm just now meeting or have known for a long time. But people all who embody the stories of transitions. And some will be returning guests. I've got Brooke Lark coming back. I had her, I think, on season 2. She shared about her story out of Mormonism, and she kind of dropped this little Easter egg we didn't get a chance to talk about, which was into this world of plant medicine, which was fascinating, and we didn't get to really talk about it. So I'm going to have her back and talk about transitioning to that. Also, I'm going to have back my friend Tommy Rutledge, who I interviewed. He's a pastor friend in Asheville, North Carolina, and his church, as well as so many others in the area, was really affected by Hurricane Helene last year. And I wanted him to come back and talk about what's happened since Hurricane Helene. And there's so many more. I can't even tell you all the good interviews I have, but those are just some overviews of what's coming. And these are stories of people who are transitioning. And so as we think about this idea of transitioning, even across cultures, I think one of the reasons we have a hard time with this is because in our culture, in American culture, North America and the United States, we think to ourselves, you go to school, you get a job, you work the job, you retire, and then you die. That's basically it, which to me is a pretty sorry arc for life, because we're more complex than that. And as I was reading William and Susan Bridges' book, I stumbled across an ancient Hindu concept of life phases. And I thought I would just share this with you as a way to think about how we as individuals change and grow. And so there's 4 stages. These are translated, of course, but it's student stage, householder, forest dweller, and then the renunciate life, or a life of renunciation. And the way the ancient Hindus viewed it was that in childhood, up to about 25, you're in a student stage. So you're getting educated, you're acquiring knowledge, you're practicing self-discipline, you're learning a good moral foundation, you're honoring a teacher, you're getting centered in what are your family values. So that's up to about 25. And that mirrors kind of our life development stage as well in this context. And then you have the second stage, which is the householder stage. And this is married life, typically from about 25 to about 50 years old. And the householder phase is where you're raising a family and you're maintaining a household and you're fulfilling social and professional duties. You're contributing to society. You're pursuing some goals in life, like finding, your calling, you're acquiring some wealth, there's some other things that happen there too. But then there's a third and fourth stage, which we don't really have in our culture. We tend to think after that kind of householder stage or that midlife stage, then we keep working and then retire. But in this ancient Hindu concept, there are 2 other phases. And it's after the age of about 50, you go into what's called a forest dwelling phase. And what they would do is they would literally move out into the forest. And you would withdraw from your worldly responsibilities, and you would kind of reflect and meditate, like, what have I learned so far in my life? How do I need to grow still? What do I need to release? And you wouldn't really come back until you had gotten some answers. And that stage could last, 20, 25 years. And then you would come back from the forest dweller stage, and you might live in proximity to your kids, maybe on the family land, but the house has been passed, to the kids who are now raising their own family. So the forest dweller returns from the forest with their knowledge, what they've learned about life, and then they move into a renunciate life. So this is the final stage of life for the Hindu in this ancient concept. And it's this idea that around age 75 or so, there's a time frame when you're ready for complete renunciation. So you're detached from material things, from emotional bonds. You've found some spiritual enlightenment or liberation. And you have become a person who's kind of embodying a spiritually enlightened life. And you're mentoring, you're teaching, you're helping culture learn what it means to be old and to be wise. I just thought this was really interesting. I never read this until I read the book Transitions, so I thought I'd share it with you. And as I was reading this, I began to think about myself, and to kind of shift now subjects, some updates on me. I am, believe it or not, coming to the end of the householder stage. My daughter's gone for college now. My son's in his last year of high school. And I've been doing a lot of thinking about my next few years and what I want to do. I'm grateful up to this point. I've lived in every corner of the United States. I've done a lot of things with pastoral work. I've also been blessed to have some time in the corporate world and work in a lot of different organizations, making a difference in that way. And I'm looking ahead to say, like, well, now what? When my kids are gone. My wife Amy's gone to work 2 years ago after being a stay-at-home mom for many years. She's now working as a counselor. If you didn't hear her interviews, the season finale from season 3, please go listen. It's called From Chronic Pain to Embodied Living with Dr. Tyler McCurry and I. And so as Amy's going to work and I am working at home, I've stepped away from the pastoral work. I'm finding myself a little more time on my hands than I've ever had. So I'm like, well, how do I need to grow? How do I need to change? What do I need to still learn? So part of the learning I've been doing is in spiritual direction with the Franciscans. But also about a year ago, I entered into a deeper relationship with a bunch of women. And part of my reason for that was, I don't know how else to say this, but we men tend to make a lot of problems in this world. It doesn't mean women don't make problems. But women tend to have a more peaceful way to go about things. And I wanted to learn. And I have a good mentor of mine who said to me that he's an older man now. And he said, I just came to the place where I was wary of a man with a microphone. And that really struck me because I have been the man with a microphone. And I'd like to believe that I was not heavy-handed or rough on anybody, but I'm sure I was. As I've grown in my awareness and deepened and changed, I've just gotten a little softer. And I've realized I need to do a better job of learning from women and from other people who are on the fringe. And so I reached out to a career mentor who's a well-accomplished author. I interviewed her in season 2 at the end, Lisa Sharon Harper, African-American woman. I also reached out to the Franciscans, which is mainly run by women. There are some men there, but it's mainly run by women. I reached out to a writing mentor to help me with my next book, which I'll tell you about in a second, woman. And most recently, I, about 6 months ago, reached out to someone in the world of breath work. And she's a woman. And I realized I am really trying to grow here in learning from females. And I have grown so much. And actually, I will be interviewing my breathwork coach for this season as well about some of her transitions. So yeah, that's how I've been learning and how I've been growing as I am kind of getting to the end of that householder stage. I'm not moving to the forest. But there may be changes in the future for me. I don't know. But I do know that things are shifting for me. And so indicators that things are shifting for me and for you is really just, do you want to do what you used to do? And for me, I've started saying, I enjoy the work I've done, but I'm looking for something more, something new. And I have wondered if that's been transitioning to the world of writing, which is why I've been working on this book for about 2 years. And so one indicator that I'm in a time of transition is I decided to do something with the book that I didn't think I would do. I actually acquired an agent, an interested publisher, and through conversations with the agent, with my writing mentor, we just came to the conclusion together that my writing was not best suited in the long term for the evangelical Christian market, which is where that book was originally pointing to. I was going to write for that market. And so I decided to pull the book, and I'm in the process of rewriting it for a broader audience, just because I know so many people and I wanted to appeal to more people. And so what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be starting to release portions of that book in blog form. They're, a little different, edited portions in rewritten form on my new Substack page. And so you've been hearing me over the last 3 seasons talk about the Patreon page. I'm actually closing that down. Got a little traction there, but I wanted to shift that over to Substack. Reason is I've been writing for blogs on my personal website, which is davidachata.com, on achatacoaching.com. I do some blogging in the ministry world at saturatetheworld.com. And there's other places too. And the thing with blogging is you just don't know specifically who's reading and who's interacting with you unless they make a comment or send you a note. And I want to do a better job of interacting with the people who follow me and who are interested in the conversations that I'm creating. So please go over to the new Substack page and follow me at David Achata. So substack.com/@DavidAchata, and you'll find me there. I haven't put any blogs up yet, but in August, I'm going to start doing that. And if you want to interact and go deeper, let's do it at Substack, okay? So go over there. And so, yeah, that's a big change for me as I decided to pull that project. I was excited and honored that I could get an agent and get a publisher, but I just knew I was in a transition and I needed to honor what I wanted. And what I wanted was to appeal to more people than people from the Christian world. So this season is going to be exciting as I get to share some of those. So find us over on Substack. And please share this podcast with your friends. So wherever you're at in life, whatever stage you're at, maybe this conversation is helpful to you in regards to transitions. Back to what William and Susan just said, there's an ending that's happening. That's how you know you're in a transition. Maybe you've already gone through the ending and you're in the neutral zone wondering how to navigate it. Or maybe you're in a new beginning. Wherever you're at, this season of interviews is for you. So thanks for being here. Hope you like my new theme song. I found it. I wanted something fun and upbeat, something funky. And I think I might keep this one. If you'll notice, it's been a different theme song every season. And I've kind of been searching for what feels right. And I kind of like this, so we may keep it for a while. Anyway, thank you for being here. Blessings to you. Looking forward to sharing our first interview with you next week. And until then, bless you. Love to each of you. And I wish you the best in your transition. We'll see you next week.